It was New Year's Eve in Palm Beach, Florida. The Mar-a-Lago estate was abuzz with preparations for the grand celebration that Donald Trump, Melania, and their son Barron had planned. Guests from across the globe were flying in, the decorations were impeccable, and the menu featured only the finest cuisine. It was everything one would expect from a Trump-hosted event. Yet amidst the glittering chandeliers and lavish arrangements, Donald Trump seemed preoccupied. As the evening drew closer, he sat in his private study, staring at a report Melania had left on his desk days ago. It detailed the growing number of homeless children in America, many of whom wouldn't have a warm meal or a safe place to sleep that very night. It was a side of the country that rarely made headlines, but Melania, with her compassionate heart, had been deeply moved and felt they needed to do something. Donald leaned back in his chair, memories of his own childhood flashing through his mind. While he had grown up in a family of privilege, his father had instilled in him the value of hard work and resilience. He recalled the cold winters in Queens, where he'd often see families huddled together for warmth on the city streets. Back then he'd wonder why some had so little while others had so much. The report on his desk now reignited those questions, but this time he was in a position to make a difference. Barron, now 17 and taller than both his parents, walked into the room, interrupting Donald's thoughts. "Dad," he began hesitantly, "Mom told me about the kids. It doesn't feel right to celebrate when so many people are struggling." Donald looked at his son thoughtfully. Barron had always been a reserved teenager, but his maturity and kindness never failed to surprise him. Donald's gaze shifted back to the report. "You're right, Barron," he finally said. "Let's do something about it." With that, a plan was set into motion. A plan that would be kept secret from the public until the right moment. Hours later, as guests began to arrive at Mar-a-Lago in their designer gowns and tuxedos, Donald, Melania, and Barron quietly slipped away. The trio, dressed in casual clothes, climbed into an SUV, joined only by a small security team. Their destination? A local shelter that housed homeless families, including dozens of children. Melania had worked discreetly with the shelter's administrators to organize the visit. They'd kept it under wraps, knowing the media frenzy it would cause if word got out. The Trumps didn't want cameras or headlines. They wanted the night to be about the children. When they arrived, the shelter staff greeted them warmly but with a hint of disbelief. It wasn't every day that a former president and first lady, accompanied by their son, walked through their doors. The shelter had been transformed for the evening, thanks to Melania's meticulous planning. Colorful decorations adorned the walls, tables were set with party hats and streamers, and a feast awaited in the dining hall. The children, many of whom had only ever seen the Trumps on television, were initially shy. But Barron quickly broke the ice. He joined a group of kids playing with toy blocks and soon had them laughing as he built an elaborate castle. Melania moved gracefully through the room, kneeling to talk to children at their level, offering hugs and kind words. Donald, often perceived as larger than life, showed a surprisingly gentle side. He handed out plates of food, asking each child about their favorite subject in school or their dreams for the future. The atmosphere was electric. Children's laughter echoed through the halls as they played games, shared stories, and opened gifts. Melania had arranged for a New Year's countdown just for them, complete with sparkling juice in plastic champagne glasses. The joy was contagious. Even the staff found themselves swept up in the celebration. At one point, Donald sat down with a group of kids who were drawing pictures. A young boy handed him a crayon and said, "You draw too." Without hesitation, Donald joined in, sketching a simple house. "What do you think?" he asked the boy, who studied it carefully before nodding in approval. Another boy, around 10 years old, tugged at Donald's sleeve. "Mr. Trump, do you really live in a golden house?" he asked innocently. Donald chuckled. "Not quite golden, kid. But you know what? A house isn't what makes you rich. It's the people you have around you." The boy nodded solemnly, clutching his plate of food a little tighter. As the night went on, the Trumps unveiled a surprise. They had arranged for each child to receive a personalized gift. Barron took the lead in handing them out, his towering frame bending down to meet each child's eyes. The gifts weren't just toys. They included warm clothing, school supplies, and even handwritten notes of encouragement from Melania herself. One little girl around 6 years old caught Melania's attention. Her name was Emily, and she had been at the shelter for months after losing both her parents in a tragic accident. Emily clung to a worn teddy bear, her only possession, and smiled shyly when Melania knelt beside her. "Hello, Emily," Melania said softly. "Do you like your new coat?" Emily nodded but said nothing. Her eyes, however, were filled with an unmistakable longing for comfort and safety. Melania's heart ached. By the end of the evening, Melania couldn't shake the feeling that she needed to do more for Emily. When the family returned to Mar-a-Lago that night, Donald sat in his study once more, reflecting on the evening. He thought about the children he'd met and the stories they'd shared. Their resilience reminded him of something his father had once told him: "Never forget the people who need a hand up. That's where real success comes from." Melania approached him with a determined look. "Emily needs us," she said simply. Donald was initially surprised but quickly warmed to the idea. "If anyone can give her a better life, it's us," he said. Weeks later, the news broke that the Trumps had officially adopted Emily. While the media buzzed with speculation and opinions, the Trumps focused on helping Emily adjust to her new life. Melania took a hands-on approach, ensuring Emily felt loved and secure. Meanwhile, Donald announced a new initiative, a multi-million-dollar fund to support homeless children across America. "This isn't about politics," he said in a rare public statement. "This is about giving every child a chance to succeed." Critics and supporters alike were stunned. Whatever opinions people held about the Trumps, one thing was undeniable: their New Year's act of kindness had made an impact that would last far beyond one night. As for the children at the shelter, they would never forget the night they rang in the new year with Donald, Melania, and Barron Trump. A night when they felt seen, valued, and most importantly, hopeful.